All right, welcome back into the Union podcast, where I go on rants about the Philadelphia Union, my passion for the team, and for the sport in general. I'm Zero. Thank you for joining me for another episode here on the channel. Before we get into the Cavan Sullivan signing, actually, I should say we're going to get into that first, but before we delve into how bad the Union have been lately, we're going to talk about Cavan Sullivan. Because it's the good news before the bad news, really, today. So let's talk about this homegrown deal here. Cavan Sullivan has signed with the Union in the most lucrative homegrown deal in MLS history. He's only 14 years old. There's already a ton of hype surrounding this kid. I've seen a few highlights of what he can do. He looks really special. The Union are already bringing him in. I wasn't expecting the Union's first team to sign him for maybe another year or two, but we have already inked him to a deal. Whether he plays or not this season, I'm not sure. We'll see how the coach and everybody feels about playing him. We could use the help right now, I can tell you, but we shouldn't put too much on his shoulders because he's only 14. But even bigger news for him is that when he turns 18, he's already going to be signing with Manchester City, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Of course, a multi-time Premier League champion team who continue to spend money like nothing, obviously. But that is huge for this kid's career to already have that laid out for him. He knows he's going to go to a league right now where he's going to get playing time. He's going to be with a club he's comfortable with. He's going to be in front of fans that are going to love him. And he's going to get playing time. He's going to play in the same league as guys like Lionel Messi. So it's going to be incredible for him to get this experience early on before he goes off to the Premier League. And ultimately, probably the U.S. national team as well. He's just another talented kid coming from the Union's rank, perhaps the most talented yet. We've already sold players like Brendan Aronson, Mark McKenzie, and even Austin Trusty, who's come from our academy over to Europe, as well as Brendan's brother, Paxton Aronson. So Union are just pumping out these incredible talented kids, and they're being sold to Europe. You have Jack McGlynn, Quinn Sullivan, Nate Harriel, all playing really well in MLS the past year or two as well. They're probably starting to garner attention, especially McGlynn. I have some of my coffee here. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Hang on, I just noticed a spelling error in my notes there. Let me fix that for you guys. There we go. I'm really excited to see Cavan's play, but like I said, I don't want the club to push him too much. At only 14 years old, we can't really put anything on his shoulders yet, obviously. The club needs help right now, though, and I don't think he's the piece that's going to come in and turn things around at the moment. We can't really expect him to step in right away and just be this star player, you know. I said I don't even know if he's going to see the field at all this season. He might. I could see him coming in maybe a few games. If he does really well, then we might see him more, obviously, but they got to be very careful. They got to tread very carefully about how they bring him up. Obviously, you don't want him to get injured either. He is quite the asset to the bank accounts of these owners who don't really want to spend money, but they certainly don't mind making it, do they? This team nearly needs to spend money on established players, which they haven't been doing. We signed another homegrown player too, I believe, recently. Nobody established yet, so it's kind of frustrating. But this Cavan Sullivan thing has got a lot of hype surrounding it. I haven't seen this much hype about a kid coming in the league since Freddie Adu, honestly. You see the way that he can dribble the ball, and his skill level is going to be through the roof and has so much potential. We'll see what he can do. I mean, his brother Quinn has been playing really well this season, and you can see what he can do on the ball, but Cavan's, I think, even more of a special player. We'll see how it pans out. But this is just great news for the Union. Great news for MLS. Great news for U.S. soccer. All across the board, it's wins. We know that the Union are going to have him till he's 18, till he's off to Europe playing for Manchester City, which is just incredible. They've already like inked him, wanting him over there, calling him one of the best, if not the best, in the world in his age group, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, excitement doesn't even begin to say what I'm feeling when he hits the field for the Union for the first time. Hopefully we can do some damage with him for a few years. Well, that's the good news. Signing this kid and all the hype surrounding it and all this, that's the good news for the Union right now. Everything else right now is pretty much bad news. Well, actually, no. I lied. There is one more bit of good news I can share with everybody before we get to all the bad stuff. Another bit of good news is congratulations to Daniel Gazdag, who now is the club's all-time leading scorer. He currently sits, and I realize that I still have a spelling error in my news that you can see down there. Currently. There we go. I can't type today, can I? There we go. Fixing the spelling errors in there. I should have proofread this stuff before I put it on the news bottom, but that's fine. As you can see, he currently sits at 58 goals for the club, which is first all time now. He just surpassed Sebastian Latou, who of course is a club legend. If you've been a Union fan since day one like me, you'll know that Sebastian Latou is arguably the best player to ever wear the jersey. He was incredible while he was here, beloved by the fans. He's on the Ring of Honor. He was an incredible player. Throughout terrible years with this team, he was a shining bright spot that who just made the team worth watching. But congratulations to Gazdag, fully deserved. Now sits at 58 goals in his MLS career for the Union. Obviously first on the club. And it's weird because his first year with the team, he didn't score that many goals. It kind of took him a little bit to warm up. Then he had a 22-goal season, which really struck him up. And he's got several goals already this year. He's scoring almost every game right now, but he's just been really, really good. He's been getting more goals from open play too lately, which is nice to see. I know he did get a penalty yesterday, but he has been scoring some goals from open play, big goals too. So really nice to see. Congratulations to the Hungarian Daniel Gazdag, we call him here. But yeah, he's been great for the club for sure. After a very slow start with the club, I thought initially, he's been very, very good since he settled into MLS. All right, good news is over. Let's get to the bad news. The bad news is this team is in turmoil right now. 3 straight home losses for the Union. As you see on the bottom line there, Union have suffered 3 straight home losses for the first time in 12 years. 12 years. They've been so dominant. They had only lost 4 games in total at home for a matter of years. Now they've lost 3 in a row. And these aren't to like the best teams in the league. They lost to Salt Lake, who's alright, but definitely beatable. They lost to a very, very underwhelming Seattle team who's been struggling all season at home. And then yesterday they just lost to Orlando, who's been struggling all season. It's inexcusable at this point. I am beyond frustrated. On my last episode, I was talking about this team being the last undefeated team. Well, that went away really quickly. They managed to get a tie in Atlanta barely, and then it's been downhill since then. I don't know what's going on with this club. They need changes. They need them fast. It's just been piss poor from the Union lately. The big thing is, too, the most concerning thing is the defense. The defense is trash. This is a team that for the past couple years, defense has been a strong point. We were the best defensive team one year. We were one of the best defensive teams the year after that. Last year, our defense was shaky, but it was still reliable for the most part. This year, it's gone from reliable to a liability. It is bad. Our center backs have been horrible. Nathan Harriel on the right side has been horrible lately. Even Kai Wagner hasn't been that good. Our goalkeeping has been bad too. Even Blake. Blake's been injured, I know. But I can't give him a pass for the one game that he was in there that recently where he gave up 2 really bad goals. Including one that he saved and it deflected and went in. It was just, Blake hasn't been good when he's in there. Zemla has had his moments. He's had some really good performances, but he also had a stinker of a game against Seattle. And the Seattle game, what was he doing in that game? Terrible goalkeeping, but he hasn't been to blame for the past couple games, I would say. It's been the defense. The defense is the biggest issue here, not the goalkeeping. Not necessarily the offense either. I mean, we're getting goals. We're not getting shut out. I don't think have we been shut out yet this season? We have not been shut out yet this season. I'm going through the scores right now. No. We've been held to 1 goal by Salt Lake. And held to 1 goal in Kansas City in a tie game. That's it. Every other game we've scored at least 2. So offense isn't the problem, even though it seems like we're struggling to score and finish chances. We're still getting goals. We scored 2 yesterday at home and still lost. Didn't even get a point against Orlando. It's just the defense is so bad. Like, Jacob Glesnes has not been the same since his injury. He has been off his game pretty much all season. He had like 1 pretty damn good game thrown in there. I'm not sure which one it was. I can't remember. It might have been the game against Minnesota or Nashville or something. But other than that, he's been very bad. Damian Lowe has been very bad. He was horrible against Orlando yesterday. And these are players I like. I like all these players. Jack Elliott has been very inconsistent. He's probably been our best center back this year, and he hasn't even played that much recently. And he hasn't even been that good, but he's probably been the best one. Again, Harriel's not been good. Bizo had a stinker of a game recently too on defense. Martinez has been piss poor lately. Giveaways, fouls. Yesterday he gave up a goal right after a set piece given away to Orlando. It's just, we're not closing guys down. The Seattle game was disgusting. The Seattle Sounders game where we went down 3-0 in the first half at home, the rescheduled game. Terrible. We put up a fight in the second half, but it wasn't enough. We lost 3-2. You can't give up 3 goals and a half at home and expect to get anything out of the game. But that's what we're doing. We're waiting to be down by 2 goals before we're like, oh, let's play some soccer now. It's so frustrating. Should we just put 2 goals on the scoreboard for every team at the beginning of each game? That way the team thinks they're down 2-0 already, so they actually play? Because this is getting ridiculous. We're giving up the first goal in almost every game. We're going down by multiple goals, and then we're like, okay, now we gotta try. Now we gotta try to come back. You're battling back in every game just to try and get a result. It shouldn't be like that. You should be ready to go from the start. This team isn't. They're making mental mistakes. They're like loose touches, pad giveaways, bad fouls, red cards, whatever. Injuries are obviously starting to pile up a little bit. Leon Flock played his first game of the season recently, and he was terrible. And I like Leon Flock. I think I know he's terrible going forward. Don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid to think that he's great on the ball. He is not good on offense, but his defense is usually good. But he was terrible the game he played. He looked slow. He looked like he just was not ready to play. Just everybody's been. The most consistent players have been Quinn Sullivan and Alejandro Bedoya. And people are bashing Bedoya. I don't understand comments from Union fans on Facebook and shit. Everybody's like, Bedoya's to blame. His ego is to blame. Wow, another game where Bedoya plays 90 minutes. Oh my gosh, it's his fault. You You are just I'm sorry, but you're clueless about what's going on with the team. If you think Bedoya is the problem, then you have no idea what's going on with this club. You clearly aren't watching the games. Bedoya is the least of our worries. He's been one of our best players this season. At his age, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't have to be relied upon as much as he has been. But they need him in there because Jim Curtin sees how piss poor the rest of the team's been. He's like, I need Bedoya in there to settle things down. Bedoya has 2 goals. He has, I think, 3 assists, which is probably second on the team in assists. And he shouldn't be doing this. He has a game-tying goal at the death in Kansas City. He helped us. He was a big part of our comeback against DC United recently in a 2-2 tie. In fact, he was the best player for us in that DC United game. He was incredible. He was all over the field. You think Bedoya is the problem? These people are just followers that want to point a finger at somebody, and a couple people say, oh, it's Bedoya's fault. So they all think, oh, it must be the captain's fault, right? Hell no. You have no idea what you're talking about. No, I'm sorry, but you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know soccer if you think that this is Captain Bedoya. I'm going on a rant here. This is what I do, but I have to be honest about all this and be like, you're not understanding the game correctly. The defense is by far the biggest main issue right now. But I'm sorry, last time I checked, Bedoya isn't a defender, all right? And also, people were after the Cavan Sullivan signing, people were commenting like, oh, I'm sure Bedoya is going to play over him. Like, shut up. Why are they talking about Bedoya? Did we sign this great kid? Let him enjoy his time. Let him enjoy the moment. They're complaining about Bedoya because we signed somebody else. It has nothing to do with him. And besides, Bedoya and Cavan Sullivan don't even play the same position. This is what I'm talking. This is what I'm dealing with when I'm trying to like communicate with Union fans on Facebook. I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you even like paying attention to anything? I swear these people have only been fans for like a year or two, honestly. Like, I'll admit last year Bedoya had some off games, but he was still very, very good. He had probably one of his most effective seasons overall. Bedoya is still performing at a high level, and again, for his age at his position should not be happening. He should not be outplaying half of these younger players and putting in more of an effort than players that are, 27 years old, 28 years old. Bedoya's like, 36 now or something? He should be run around like this. He shouldn't be relied upon to be the guy that gets the team forward or the guy that has to do all the work. He shouldn't be. But we're relying so much upon him right now because everybody else has been horrible. Quinn Sullivan's been great. Gozdog's been okay. McGlynn's had his moments. McGlynn's a huge liability, I should say, on defense. McGlynn just is slow getting back all the time, and he is not good at defending whatsoever. He's terrific on the ball. He's got a wonderful left foot. We've seen that. There's no doubting what he can do. But, man, he's a liability on defense. Yeah, it just hasn't been good. It's been disgusting. The Salt Lake game, I mean, oh, gosh, just that late goal we give up, not closing guys down. Last game against Orlando yesterday, just to get not closing Moriel down, getting off these shots, scoring easy goals. The header goal by Duncan McGuire, just Damian Lowe is just lazy, gets beat to the ball, doesn't even challenge. Just piss poor defending. But yeah, let's pretend it's all Bedoya's fault, right? Because he was beat on any of those goals. Gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Who are you gonna play over him right now that's any better? Who are you gonna bring in? That's what I'd like to know. People were complaining that he was playing over Jack McGlynn last year. Well, guess what? This year, Jack McGlynn's starting every game. So what are you complaining about now? Bedoya hasn't started every game. He's had to recently because Ua's been underperforming. Carranza had to miss a game. Others have missed games. Sullivan's been starting every game. So what's the issue now? What's the issue? That's what I don't understand. I don't get these people that are just. It happens in like every comment. It's like I don't understand. They're just pointing the finger at somebody. I mean, this is our captain. He's been our captain for years. He's been with this club for a long time. Show some respect. Show some respect to Alejandro Bedoya, all right? If you want to point fingers at the defense. Point fingers at the front office for not spending money on established players to come in and help this club. You could point some fingers at Jim Curtin too. I'm a big Jim Curtin fan. But yeah, he's not been great lately either coaching this team. He has to make some changes, some major changes here. He's going to make some decisions with some of these underperforming players. I think we need help in the back. We need to go out and we need to sign a center back or something, honestly. Sign an established center back right now to come in and start light a fire under these other center backs right now. They're too complacent, too comfortable. They know there's no competition for them. It's these three. Glesnes, Elliott, and Lowe. They know those are the only three center backs on the roster. So they know, if I have a bad game, I'm going to be starting next game anyways because there's nobody else to play that position. Bring in an established center back to start right away. Light a fire under some of these players to be like, listen, your spot is up for grabs. You are no longer an everyday starter with these performances. We're bringing in a guy who's going to come in and help the club right away, we hope, But they won't do that. They won't do that. This club never does. They don't know. They don't know. Most of our strikers have been ineffective all season. Carranza's been good. Uwa's been inconsistent. Uwa scored yesterday, which was nice to see. I still think that he needs to find that extra gear because he's capable. We've seen it. But he's not consistent enough either. And then off the bench, we're not getting anything from Donovan. Obviously, Baribo's made a couple appearances. We're not getting much from him because he's not playing. There's nothing. There's nothing there. I mean, I don't know what's happened. Marcus Anderson hasn't been playing right lately either. We're just not getting enough off the bench right now. We're not getting enough off the bench either. So I know Curtin needs to use more subs for sure, but who is he going to bring in that's going to make an impact, really? Who's he going to bring in? You can't bring in like Raffanello or some of these young kids like Gabo. Haven't even played. That's what our bench is right now. Our bench yesterday was the South African kid who hasn't even played at all. Sanders Gabo, who again hasn't played at all. Raffanello, Bueno, Donovan, Baribo, who barely ever plays. Like, that was our bench. Like, what do you want? We need more depth. I know we have some injuries too, but and nothing right now. Bueno and Donovan are like the two guys who have been playing mostly past year or two. I would love to see some of those other kids, Gabo and whatever, to play. I would love to see them play and see what they can do. At this point, you might as well. Can't be any worse. Martinez has been terrible lately. And he's usually very solid in there, but he's been so poor. I would think about starting Bueno over him right now. I'm not kidding. I think we should. I said light a fire under some of these players. Be like, you haven't been good enough. You're sitting on the bench. Give him some time to think about this and, think that, you know what, my spot isn't set in stone. Give some of these other players a chance. Bring another center back, start him, and light a fire under these guys. It just hasn't been good enough. We need Andre Blake back, obviously. Although Zemla's not to blame for the last couple games, obviously. Defense still the biggest issue, but it's frustrating because we haven't seen this sort of play from the Union in years. Like, this is going back 5 years ago or so when the Union were just a bad club, I lived through all these bad years of the Union. I was there since day one. I watched this club's first ever game. I've been watching all the games since. I lived through all those terrible seasons of inconsistency, piss poor players, piss poor playing, terrible signings, terrible results, no playoffs, nothing. Those were horrible years. I'm glad that the team's relevant these last couple seasons or so. We've been consistent, but this season it's going downhill really fast and changes need to happen before this gets worse. We're talking not even making the playoffs. We're talking like Jim Curtin's job on the line. Like, it's getting that bad. It's getting that serious. We need to turn this thing around right now. And our home form has just been so disappointing. I don't understand. We had 15 minutes of stoppage time yesterday against Orlando. We still couldn't tie the game. Hell, we had a penalty kick in stoppage time. And of course, Gazdag misses his first ever penalty in MLS play with a save by Galessa. Of course. And then the follow-up rebound goes right to him. And what does he do? He puts it over the bar. Unbelievable. So we can't say we didn't have our chances. We had plenty of pressure on them. Hopeful crosses into the box. Nobody on the end of it. We weren't winning any second balls. We looked like we ran out of ideas. People were just panicking, just throwing the ball in forward like, I don't know. This club needs some kind of shakeup right now. I think it starts bringing in some new players, some new signings, and starting, tinkering with the starting lineup more than just playing the same core of 14 players that they've been playing all season. I know Curtin does rotate his team a lot though. He does. I mean, he keeps the same group of players in there, but he rotates some of them in and out. And that's not helping our cohesion either. Is that we're starting a new starting 11 almost every game, kind of players in different positions. And a lot of the time, you got Sullivan in the midfield, Sullivan up top. You got Bedoya on the right side, Bedoya in the middle. You have Harriel in the middle, Harriel on the right side, Harriel on the left side. That's the problem right there. It's we're not getting that cohesion. We need to I don't know. There's just so much missing. Players look nervous. Glesnes, again, he does not look like the same player. He looks very nervous out there, honestly, a lot of the time on the ball, and just does not seem to be reading the game that well. Damian Lowe seems to be trying too hard, and he's making mistakes. Same thing with Martinez. I like that we're trying to battle back in games. We're not hanging our heads and just being well, we're losing. Oh well. We're showing fight. So that's not the coach. If the coach was the problem, these players would be hanging their heads. They wouldn't be putting in the effort that they are. The effort is still there. So at least it would be very concerning if there was no effort. But they're battling back to try and get results. We've been having to do it all season though. That's the problem. We can't get off on the front foot. We have to stop giving up these horrible goals and getting ourselves behind by a goal or two before we start playing. We need urgency from the get-go. My goodness. If I was the coach, I would be lighting a fire under these players right now. I'd be like, listen, none of your positions are safe right now. I don't care who you are, how much money you're making. Your job is not safe in the starting lineup right now. Because there's no excuses for 3 straight home losses like this. Not only that, we're just giving up goals even on the road. First goals are always to the road team. We're having to battle back every single time, and it's just, man, it's gone downhill so quickly. But we need to turn it around. I'm scared if it gets any worse. People are already calling for Jim Curtin to be fired. I'm not one of those people. I don't think that this is all on him. Part of it is for sure. But this isn't all on one person in particular. This is a collective thing. And for crying out loud, it's certainly not all on Bedoya like everybody else is saying. I have no idea. Oh my gosh. They need to turn it around right now. They need some leadership in there. They need some, not just from Bedoya, but they need other guys to just grab a hold here. We need Glesnes to perform. Damian Lowe, Jack Elliott, Kai Wagner, Martinez. It's not, I'm not necessarily putting a lot of pressure on guys like McGlynn, Sullivan, Harriel. Those are younger players, they're still growing. You can't rely on, right now we've been relying a lot on McGlynn and Sullivan on offense. It's just we shouldn't be. We need Ua, we need Gazdag. Those are the guys that need to be driving the team and taking control of this right now. Yeah, it's been ugly, guys. I wish I had more good news to share. I just don't. It's frustrating right now. Luckily we still have so much time left in the season. We can turn this around. Let's hope that we can just our next game. What is our next game, anyways? This was supposed to be an easier schedule for us right now. Games against Salt Lake, DC United, Orlando. These aren't the best teams, most talented. Game at home against a struggling Seattle. And what did we get out of all this? 2 points from those 4 games? And 3 of them at home? Terrible. Oh, sorry, no. 1 point from those 4 games. 3 of them at home. The 1 point was on the road. Our next game's against New York City at home on Wednesday. So a quick turnaround, we have another game. Carranza should be back for that game. I mean, we need to show up in that one. Then we go on the road and play a struggling New England team. So we have a chance here to pull off some victories here. Then we go on the road to play Charlotte, who we know is decent, but they're not a club you fear too much. So there's very, very winnable games coming up. And then home to Toronto, home to Montreal, home to Messi and Inter Miami on June 15th. Obviously, that's a big one about a month from now, before the schedule starts to get a lot tougher there. But we got some more home games coming up, some winnable road games. I mean, let's right the ship. Let's start it this Wednesday against NYC. Let's wash this bad taste out of our mouths. I want a clean sheet. I want players playing for each other, playing for the coach, and just a Union performance to be proud of. One we haven't seen since the Minnesota game. Maybe the Nashville game in the second half too, but we need to turn it around right now. This is it. Got to show urgency right now before it gets worse. Beat NYC at home. Put on a show for the fans that are there. Show them that this isn't going to be another home loss. Go on the road on Saturday and beat New England, who has been horrible this season. There's no reason why you can't go into New England and win. I thought New England was going to be better this year. Obviously, they have Carlos Heel. But man, New England has been terrible. They've been one of the worst teams in the league. They're having trouble scoring. They're giving up goals. They're not getting goaltending. They're not getting any play from the forwards. The midfield's been bad and all that. New England just hasn't put together a good squad this year. They've had some injuries of their own. So they're ripe for the picking right now. Don't let them get going against you. It's got the Seattle game written all over it. Seattle was doing horrible, and then we let them run all over us at home. Go to New England and win. Then you go to Charlotte. I'll take a tie in that game. I'll go to Charlotte. Let's get a tie and get a result. Keep the results going. Then you come back home to play Toronto and Montreal. Again, win those games at home. You can beat Toronto. You can beat Montreal. These aren't the craziest clubs right now. They really aren't. None of those teams I just mentioned are teams that are playing particularly well. I mean, Toronto has been pretty good this year, but again, they're beatable. And then it's the big one against Miami. That's a game you got to be ready for, obviously. And then we go on the road to play Cincinnati. Those are incredibly tough games back to back against probably the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference right now. Cincinnati just beat Columbus, who we know is a good club too. I mean, we're falling behind here. We need to get some victories. No more ties. Get some wins. I'll be watching the game on Wednesday when I get home from work. I really hope for a good performance, guys. That's all I can say. That's probably about all I got to talk about right now. Thank you all for listening to my rants. As always, my passion always bleeds through here for the Union. I love this team. I want them to turn it around. I appreciate those who do, stop here, listen to me, and just hang out here on the podcast. Whether you're driving to work or driving home from work or just at home listening, however you manage to do this, much appreciated. Take care, everybody. Be safe out there. And I'll see you on the next one. Until next time, go Union, and 0 is the number.